My mom made my little sister write, "I love Mommy more" on a photo of us. Then she framed it and hung it over my bed, whispering it daily like a curse. This happened when I was 12 and my sister Emma was 8. But I'm 27 now and I still think about it every day. I need to get this out somewhere because I'm in therapy trying to work through my childhood, and my therapist suggested writing about some of the more specific incidents that still haunt me. This is probably the worst one. For context, my mom Linda, now 55, has always had this thing about controlling narratives and making sure everyone knew exactly where they stood in her hierarchy of affection. She's what my therapist calls a covert narcissist. Not the loud, obvious kind, but the subtle, manipulative type who destroys you slowly and makes you think it's your fault. My little sister Emma and I are 4 years apart, and from the moment Emma was born, the dynamic in our house shifted completely. I went from being an only child who got normal attention to being the difficult, older kid who was jealous of the baby and needed to learn to share. But it wasn't just normal sibling adjustment stuff. Mom actively cultivated this dynamic where Emma could do no wrong and I could do no right. If Emma broke something, it was because I hadn't been watching her properly. If Emma was crying, it was because I had done something mean to her. If Emma was hungry or tired or upset about anything, somehow it traced back to me being a bad big sister. Emma, being a little kid, absorbed all of this. She learned early that she could get away with anything by blaming me, and that Mom would always take her side. She also learned that she was the special one, the good one, the one Mom really loved. I tried so hard to be good. I helped with chores, got straight A's, never caused trouble at school. But nothing I did mattered because I wasn't Emma. I was just the placeholder child who had existed before the real favorite came along. The photo incident happened during Christmas break, when I was in 7th grade. We'd had professional family photos taken at one of those mall studios, the kind where everyone wears matching outfits and smiles awkwardly at the camera. There was this one photo of just Emma and me together, sitting on a fake snow backdrop. I remember the photographer telling us to show how much you love your sister, and both of us genuinely smiling. Despite everything, I did love Emma. She was my little sister, and when Mom wasn't around to poison the well, we actually got along pretty well. The photos came back right before Christmas, and Mom was going through them with Emma while I was in the kitchen doing dishes, because that was my job every night. I could hear them talking and laughing, and I felt that familiar sting of being excluded, but I was used to it by then. A few minutes later, Mom called me into the living room. "Alex, come look at this sweet photo of you and Emma," she said in that fake cheerful voice she used when she was planning something. The photo was spread out on the coffee table, and Mom had a red pen in her hand. "Emma wants to add something special to this picture. Show Alex what you want to write, sweetheart." Emma, who was 8 and still learning to write in cursive, carefully picked up the pen and started writing across the bottom of the photo. I watched in horror as she spelled out, in her careful 2nd grade handwriting, "I love Mommy more." "Emma, why would you write that?" I asked, my voice shaking. "Because it's true," Emma said matter-of-factly. "Mommy said I could write whatever I wanted on the picture, and I love Mommy more than you do." I looked at Mom, expecting her to correct this or explain that it was inappropriate, but she was smiling. Actually smiling. "That's very sweet, Emma," Mom said. "I think we should frame this and put it somewhere special where we can all see it every day." "Can we put it in Alex's room?" Emma asked, and I felt my stomach drop. "What a wonderful idea," Mom said. "Alex can look at it every day and remember how much her little sister loves Mommy." I tried to protest. "Mom, that's not fair. Why would you put that in my room?" "Because," Mom said, her voice getting that sharp edge that meant I was about to be in trouble, "maybe it will help you think about how you can be a better daughter and show more love to your family." So she framed it. She actually went to the store, bought a nice silver frame, and carefully mounted the photo with Emma's cruel message across the bottom. Then she hung it on the wall directly across from my bed, at eye level, so it would be the first thing I saw when I woke up and the last thing I saw before I went to sleep. But that wasn't the worst part. Every single night for the next 6 months, Mom would come into my room for what she called our special bedtime chat. She'd sit on the edge of my bed, point to the photo, and whisper things like, "See how much Emma loves me? I wonder why you can't love me like that. Emma understands what it means to be a good daughter. Maybe you should learn from her. It must be hard for you, knowing that your little sister is so much better at loving people than you are. Sometimes I wonder if you even love me at all, Alex. Emma's love is so pure and honest. Yours always feels forced. She'd say these things in this soft, sad voice, like she was disappointed in me rather than actively trying to hurt me. Like she was just concerned about my character development. Every night, I'd lie there after she left, staring at that photo and Emma's words, feeling like there was something fundamentally wrong with me. Why couldn't I love Mom the way Emma did? Why was I such a bad daughter? Why did Emma deserve love and I didn't? I started having trouble sleeping. I'd pull my covers over my head to try to block out the photo, but I could still feel it there, like it was watching me. I began having nightmares about the words getting bigger and bigger until they covered my entire room. The worst part was that Emma had no idea what she'd done. To her, it was just a fun art project that Mommy had suggested. She'd skip into my room sometimes and point at the photo proudly, saying things like, "Look, it's still there," like she created a masterpiece. I couldn't be mad at her. She was 8 years old and doing what she thought would make Mom happy. But every time she mentioned it, I felt like I was being stabbed. The photo stayed up for about 6 months, through the rest of 7th grade. Every friend who came over saw it. They'd ask about it, and I'd have to make up some excuse about Emma being artistic or just being silly. I was too ashamed to tell anyone what it really was, proof that even my own little sister knew I wasn't worthy of love. During this time, my grades started slipping. I had trouble concentrating in school because I was exhausted from not sleeping well. I stopped bringing friends over because I couldn't bear the thought of them seeing the photo and asking questions. I started having panic attacks, though I didn't know that's what they were at the time. I just suddenly feel like I couldn't breathe, like the walls were closing in. It happened most often in my bedroom, but sometimes at school too. The school counselor called my mom about my declining performance, and Mom told her I was going through a difficult phase and was struggling with jealousy issues regarding my little sister. She made it sound like I was the problem, like I was acting out because I couldn't handle not being an only child anymore. The photo finally came down when I was getting ready to start 8th grade. Not because Mom suddenly developed empathy, but because she was redecorating my room and wanted to put up different artwork. She took it down casually, like it was just another piece of decor that had run its course. No acknowledgement of what it had represented or how it had affected me. She probably threw it away, though part of me wonders if she kept it somewhere as a reminder of her successful psychological manipulation. By then, the damage was done. I'd spent 6 months having it reinforced every single day that I was less lovable than my sister, that there was something wrong with my capacity for affection, that I was fundamentally flawed as a daughter and as a person. The effects of that photo and those nightly chats lasted way longer than 6 months. In fact, I'm still dealing with them now, 15 years later. Throughout high school, I was obsessed with being perfect. I thought if I could just be good enough, smart enough, helpful enough, maybe I could earn the kind of unconditional love that Emma seemed to get just for existing. I got straight A's, never missed curfew, did extra chores without being asked, and generally tried to be the most low-maintenance daughter possible. It never worked. No matter what I did, Emma remained the golden child, and I remained the problematic one who needed to try harder. When I started dating in high school, I was a mess. I had no idea how to accept affection or believe that someone could actually love me. I was constantly waiting for boyfriends to realize I wasn't worth it and leave me for someone better, someone more like Emma who seemed to effortlessly inspire devotion. I remember my first serious boyfriend, Marcus, telling me he loved me when I was 17. Instead of being happy, I had a panic attack. I literally couldn't breathe because I was so convinced he was lying or confused or would change his mind once he really got to know me. "Why don't you believe me?" he asked after I'd calmed down. I couldn't explain it without sounding crazy. How do you tell someone that you have a framed photo burned into your brain of your little sister declaring she loves your mom more than you do, and that you've internalized that as proof of your fundamental unlovability? Marcus and I broke up a few months later, not because he stopped caring about me, but because I was so exhausting to love. I required constant reassurance, interpreted every normal relationship conflict as evidence that he was realizing I wasn't worth it, and generally made loving me feel like a full-time job. This pattern continued through college and into my early 20s. I sabotaged relationship after relationship because I couldn't believe anyone would choose me if they had better options. And there were always better options. Girls who didn't need constant validation, who could accept compliments without questioning them, who didn't carry invisible wounds from childhood psychological warfare. The worst part was that Emma and I grew up to have a decent relationship despite everything. She's 23 now, working as a teacher, and she's actually a really good person. We talk regularly and see each other for holidays, and she has no memory of the photo incident. A few years ago, I mentioned it casually during a family dinner, thinking maybe we could laugh about how weird Mom used to be. "I don't remember that at all," Emma said, looking genuinely confused. "Are you sure that happened?" Mom immediately jumped in with, "Oh, Alex, you always exaggerate things from when you were kids." Emma was just being creative with her writing. Even now, Mom can't acknowledge what she did. In her version of events, it was just innocent childhood artistic expression that I've blown out of proportion because I'm overly sensitive and hold grudges. But Emma's lack of memory almost made it worse. It meant that this thing that had fundamentally shaped my understanding of my worth in the world was just a blip in her childhood, so insignificant that it didn't even register as a memory. I started therapy 2 years ago, initially for anxiety and relationship issues. It took months of sessions before I even brought up the photo because I was embarrassed about how much a piece of paper had affected me. My therapist, Dr. Chun, didn't think it was silly at all. "That wasn't just a photo, Alex," she told me. "That was a daily reminder that you were less loved, deliberately placed where you couldn't escape it. And the nightly reinforcement of that message was psychological abuse, even if your mother didn't see it that way." Hearing someone else label it as abuse was both validating and terrifying. I'd spent so many years thinking I was just being dramatic or oversensitive. But Dr. Chin helped me understand that the impact of emotional abuse isn't determined by the perpetrator's intentions. It's determined by the effect on the victim. Your mother created a hierarchy of love in your family and made sure you knew you were at the bottom of it, she explained. That's not normal family dynamics. That's a pattern of favoritism and emotional manipulation that would damage any child. We've been working on something called reparenting, where I try to give myself the kind of unconditional love and acceptance that I should have received as a child. It's hard work because I have to fight against 15 years of ingrained beliefs about my worth. I'm also working on understanding that Emma wasn't my enemy, even though it felt like she was. She was just a kid who learned to play the game Mom set up. Mom was the one who created the competition between us and made sure I always lost. The hardest part is that Mom still does this stuff, just more subtly now that we're adults. She still finds ways to compare Emma and me, still manages to make it clear that Emma is the success story and I'm the work in progress. At Emma's college graduation, Mom gave a speech about how proud she was of her baby girl and how Emma had always been such a joy to raise. She made no mention of my own college graduation 2 years earlier. When Emma got engaged last year, Mom spent the entire family dinner talking about what a wonderful wife Emma was going to be and how lucky her fiancé was to get such a loving, caring girl. When I got a promotion at work around the same time, Mom's response was, "That's nice, dear. Did I tell you about Emma's engagement party plans? It's death by 1,000 cuts. Nothing dramatic enough to call out without looking petty, but a constant stream of small reminders about who matters and who doesn't. I've thought about going no contact with Mom, but that would mean losing Emma too, and she doesn't deserve that. She's genuinely confused when I try to explain the favoritism because to her, it's just normal. It's the only family dynamic she's ever known. So I'm learning to manage the relationship from a distance. I see Mom on holidays and special occasions, but I don't rely on her for emotional support or validation. I've built my own support system of friends and chosen family who love me for who I am, not based on some arbitrary ranking system. I'm also in a healthy relationship now with someone who doesn't make me beg for reassurance every day. Jake has been incredibly patient while I work through my issues, and he's helped me see that love doesn't have to be conditional or competitive. "Your mom was wrong," he told me after I finally shared the photo story with him. "There's nothing wrong with how you love people. You're actually one of the most caring, thoughtful people I know. Your mom just couldn't see it because she was too busy playing favorites." I'm getting better at believing him, though it's still a daily practice. Last month, I did something that felt revolutionary. I threw away a photo of Emma and me from last Christmas. Not because I don't love my sister, but because I realized I was keeping it for the wrong reasons, hoping that if I displayed enough evidence of sisterly affection, maybe Mom would finally see me as worthy of love too. I'm done performing for her approval. I'm done trying to earn something that should have been freely given. I'm done letting a photo from 15 years ago determine my worth. But sometimes, late at night when I can't sleep, I still see Emma's careful 8-year-old handwriting. I love Mommy more, and I still feel that familiar ache of not being enough. The difference now is that I know the ache is lying. I know that my worth isn't determined by a childhood game I was set up to lose. I know that I am capable of love and worthy of love, regardless of what any photo says. It's just taking a while to convince the 12-year-old girl inside me who spent 6 months staring at those words every night. But I'm getting there. TLDR, when I was 12, my mom made my 8-year-old sister write, "I love Mommy more" on a photo of us, then framed it and hung it over my bed while giving me nightly guilt trips about not being as loving as my sister. 15 years later, I'm still in therapy working through the psychological damage from this deliberate favoritism and emotional manipulation.